kind of an off purple. I don't know, Brett, if that's fuchsia or not. I'm not sure what the National Weather Service policy is on winter storm warnings. I don't remember going through colors when I went to Meteorology 101. There's a bunch of colors up there, and they range from winter storm warnings down to the advisories. I'm going to help you out. Brett has a sore throat.
Yeah, I'm a little under the weather.
No pun intended or pun intended?
Yeah, no, I'm. We did some traveling last few days. We were in New York City yesterday, and
Heard of it?
you know, we're wondering if this was going to come to fruition. So watched it closely. When I say this has been an absolute nightmare, it's been a nightmare. We had to got in about 4 a.m. Obviously, I have a lot of video that comes in from the guys in the field, and then we were shooting video here near Dunkirk, Hamburg, at about 2 o'clock this morning. So we got into we're at a house here, Airbnb, and we made it in at about 4. After getting everything done, I got to bed about 4:30, 4:45, and then we had to get up at 7 because there is a football game here in Buffalo this weekend. The Bills are at home playing, so whether or not they play is up in the air depending on the system. They typically do. They typically
Yeah.
do a good job of keeping those all those things in order so that they can get the game in. Well, everybody's renting cars, so we had to be there first thing, and I had to do a little bit of sweet talking. I won't say bribery was involved, but bribery was involved, and to be able to get a vehicle, a 4-wheel drive, to be able to do that, and then obviously I brought dress clothes because I was in business meetings all day yesterday versus winter clothes. So I basically went and probably spent the mortgage for the month on getting clothes to be able to deal with this storm. And on 2.5 hours sleep, I'm got a little bit of a headache and a sore throat. So I'm dealing with that, and I'm going to try to help Dave as much as I can here because I really need to be okay for this because this looks like a long duration deal, 72 hours, maybe more.
Yeah. Yeah, not only I know we've talked Buffalo, 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 but look at all the advisories that we have out in winter storm warnings now. Just west of Detroit, it looks like they go back all the way over, to the eastern side of Lake Michigan, if you will, and then up there again around south of Duluth. It looks like there's a winter storm warning there, and some of the warnings go up into Cheyenne and Wyoming, where they're expecting some more snowfall there too. Although they often have it a lot, but we're looking actually at now feet. We've been talking about it. It's been joked about, I think, over the last week. But now it does look like feet are likely of snow up where you are and into
Yeah.
that eastern side of Lake Erie in particular. The eastern side of any of the Great Lakes would be included in this overall. I mean, all the way up to Watertown.
Yeah, and you have a basically what we have is in the early winter months we have a very warm lake water, and we're dealing with very cold air, a couple thousand feet off the deck here, off the ground, 5,000 ish feet. That's going to be extremely cold. That's going to rush over top of the lakes with decent winds, low level jet actually, and so far we've seen a lot of that snowfall has been a northwest to southeast type snow situation. You've had where over in Michigan we've been dealing with the
Please come back.
hold on, David. I'm in and out here. I'm trying to trying to
You're
get this
back. You're
corrected. I'm
back.
sorry. Um. Anyway, northwest type flow has been ongoing, and we've been seeing a lot of wind, basically driving that snow across lower Michigan, and we've seen more snow down to the south, really from Dunkirk, Hamburg, southward through western PA, northwestern PA, down around Erie. Got blasted last night, near a foot of snow. Some places got over a foot of snow from the snow band that's set up there. Well, those winds are going to shift, and that's what we're watching for. Once we get a wind that is more out of the west southwest here, coming straight off the lake, it's going to be a long fetch in this area. So we are under a lake effect snow warning. And once, hold on, you've heard the term fire hose, and that's quite possible with this type of a system.
Yeah, it's a really big deal. And let's, I was talking about all the colors, but let me sort of explain what's going on here, Brett. While you take some water there, from it looks like Houghton westward, in particular, over to Ashland. This is a winter storm warning that is in effect here that goes all the way until 7 a.m. on Friday. Heavy lake effect snow accumulations 8 to 14 inches there possible from Ironwood into the Porcupine Mountain State Park. Lesser accumulations 2 to 8 expected just south of there into the Porcupine Mountains. That's going to be just east. That's Lake Superior now. East of Duluth. Duluth's going to get shut out with this one. Marquette, you're going to pick up part of this as well. But then on the western side, if you will, of Michigan, we do have winter storm warnings that are in effect up here to the north. That's going to be roughly from Emmett and Charlevoix counties here. That's an additional 4 to 8 inches of snowfall up there that's going to be happening. The Grand Rapids area going to be hit hard too with some of the heavier snow. You can see some of the bands that are coming in right now. Put this into motion for you and show you. They just keep banding up and coming in off of Lake Michigan, where the water temperature is actually warm out here in the middle of the lake. We got temperatures into the upper 40s now. It was 51 yesterday. It's 48 degrees now, Brett. So some of the cooler air that's rushing over it is cooling it somewhat. But look at the banding features that are still coming on shore from Kalamazoo back over to Fremont into Muskegon. And that'll be a continuation. So this belt down to the south in particular is what they're looking for to get dumped on into the overnight hours tonight, right here where we still have plenty coming in. That's going to be from the wind coming in from the west, Kenosha to Waukegan, Evanston. Nope, nada for you. It's going to be on the other side of the lake. No snow for you. Coming up right there in the southern sections of Michigan. The same down to the south here. We got a couple of advisories that are in effect. Mentor, not Cleveland really. Looks like you're out of the fetch here, but this part of Lake County, winds gusting 35 to 40 and up to 2 inches of snow is possible. And the further up the area here you go, the more you are going to see, Brett, especially there in the northeastern side of Lake Erie, from Erie County all the way up. And I think there are some warnings up in here that aren't showing on here at the moment, but the snow beginning to pick up. There's a little around Erie at the moment. Where are you right now? Did you say you're in Dunkirk?
No, I was in Dunkirk last night. I'm actually in Buffalo.
Okay.
If you zoom in on the map there around the Buffalo area, I can give you an idea of exactly where I'm at. I'm about, let's see. Yeah, if you zoom in there, I am about 1 block off the lake, 1 to 2 blocks off the lake. I'm on, excuse me. I am on
Burger King? Is it?
I'm on 7th Street, 258, around at the current time on 7th Street, just north of the interstate there. There's an interstate, I think 190 is what runs through there and goes out toward Niagara. And I'm just north of 190 here, just outside of downtown.
Is your spotter on?
It is not right now because I don't have that equipment with me.
We'll find you.
Yeah.
I know you're right in this area here. Are you above the river, the Buffalo River?
Let's see.
Yeah.
I am not quite that far, I don't think.
All right.
Let's see.
Well,
Tell you what, if you want to plot that in Google, feel free. You can pull that on the pad there and plot it if you'd like. But
no, I don't want people to know exactly where you are because fans will start showing up the paparazzi. Geez, you got work to do, so we don't want to actually give your location away at this point. But anyway, moreover, so we'll be looking for your fetch really doesn't start until later on tonight. In fact, if we just go right now, we look at the modeling, and what do you say? We look at the HER maybe.
I think so. I think it's done pretty well. It did decent last night, but the HER and the short range models are actually doing pretty well with this system so far. I mean, everything has been on the rise, from the snowfall totals on the models to the Weather Service here. Even the Weather Service, I think they've got 48 plus here in Buffalo now, not just 36 to 48, but 48 plus. So this is going to be an interesting situation. That gray coloring there on the model, that is extremely heavy snow, probably thunder snow at that.
Yeah, it's a transition too. I mean, you can see that's rain right there in the middle of the lake, actually, and the model's doing a great job at sort of depicting the hyperclimate because it will be warm enough for rain to be there at the center of the lake, probably with as much of the upwelling that you'll be looking for. And the water temperatures are still kind of warm here into this area as well, so that's likely to be rain out into the middle. But then this gets to be really heavy snowfall coming in here. Later on into the evening. This is 7 p.m. You can see it up there at the top. I've left the timing here for you. 7 p.m. tonight is when this initializes, and that is when the super heavy snow starts to come into Buffalo from the southwest, moving across the upper part of Erie. Now, watch what happens here. I'm going to put this into motion for you to show you what's going to go on. And we call this training. I mean, this just continues to come in. Just pretend there's a track down there where actually the border is that goes through the middle of the lake. And this will just show you there's not a lot of movement north or south when this sets up right about there by 1 a.m. in particular. Now, it does shift a little bit south from time to time. Some of the modeling was indicating that. Brett, you could go to a massive bust in the city if this pushes a little bit further south, because literally just north of Buffalo, I think there's very little until maybe it shifts over. The fetch actually comes in a little bit more from the southwest at this point by 6 a.m., and this would be early in the morning, and then it looks like the fetch goes a little bit further to the north. So it's kind of it's an odd deal there that we'll be looking at as we go along, because the fetch either side, I mean, if you look at it right here, it's so minuscule or minute at where the fetch may change over. You could literally go from famine to feast on either side of the city of Buffalo. It could happen. The cutoff, I mean, I know you know more about this maybe than I've only had lake effect a few times, but literally like 10 miles away, there probably is not going to be hardly any snow, right?
Yeah, a couple of degrees in wind shift is going to be everything, because this is such a very specific area that has been targeted here, and that band can do as the model shows. It can do some waving, and it's going to do that some. Now, the bigger snows really come if you get sustained wind. You see how long that lake is from the southwest to the northeast, pointing toward Buffalo. If we can get a fetch that comes with the length of the lake for a long period of time, that's when we look for just the absolute hammering of snow. Now, we position in Buffalo with the expectation that if we can deal with it here. If it's not going to be ground zero, we can easily move, because guess what? It's probably going to be 10 miles north or 10 miles south. And that's about it, because it's a very narrow corridor along the lake that can really take that kind of snow because of the wind fetch.
Yeah, this is the NAM. So this is the NAM 3K. This is 8 o'clock tonight that we're looking at. About the same time that the fetch looked like it was going to pick up really on the HER modeling. And you can see it kind of meanders around, maybe a little bit south of the city there for a while. The NAM has it a little bit south of the city and takes it through. Let's see, we go into Friday. This is a late Friday night, actually, and then the fetch sets back up again, but comes back up into Buffalo and meanders around there for a little bit. And I think if you just go straight by the model here, maybe not as much snowfall is being forecast by a few of them, because we're looking at basically here, look at this, check this out. I mean, if you go by it, horrible colors, Drew, hate the colors. But you can see that Blasdell area, there's 25, 30, and then Buffalo's down into the 12 to 14 there, if you believe the modeling. But if you go further to the north, like over here to Niagara, that's 4 to 6, which is only about 15 minutes away or so. I've been to Niagara Falls once on a wedding, first wedding that didn't take, shouldn't have gone. And then back over to here, Erie. This is a weird phenomena that comes with the weather here, lake effect snow. Some people study it for many, many years and work really hard on coming up with those kind of forecasts, and it's a very difficult thing to be super close for one area, but this is going to be one that has to be watched, like you said, very closely. You got you some water lemon yet?
No, going to do that here. Excuse me, really soon, though, because uh, pretty. This is pretty. Whatever I'm doing with is pretty doggone terrible.
Not to forget anybody. So I want to go back to the west here and talk about this too. This is coming across not as quite of a long fetch here, but it does look like because of the orientation. Now you got the wind is going to be coming perpendicular across the lake. So with the wind coming in out of the west and the actual orientation of the lake, so the lake goes north-south here, if you will. The wind's going to be coming in from the west like this, and so that gives you a large area here on the western side of Michigan for the snow to fall. Does look like the greatest amount is going to be where it's widest, where the lake is actually at its widest, which is Kenosha over to Highland, Kalamazoo. And so that fetch there, let me put it into motion to show you what we're looking at. The continuation of radar echoes there for a long time. You can see how it's wavy here. The high resolution, the 3K, actually shows you it picking up off and on across this area and then making its way over to Kalamazoo. And look at the waves that come through the entire day on Friday, 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m., just wave after wave. A little diurnal effect there may be taking place, or maybe the shift comes in a little bit too far from the south at this point for it to remain. But then it picks back up again, actually, as we get into the day on moving along on Saturday, into the afternoon on Saturday. They're going to get dumped on here too, Brett. I mean, and maybe in a larger area overall. If you put down the total snowfall at a 10-1, which it won't be that, but if you look at this, I mean, there's some pretty high totals there that get into the feet all the way up into Traverse City and throughout that Gaylord area up there too.
This flies with across Michigan. You like water all the way down. You're right. When you come off the lake there, Michigan, you're going to see a wide area of snow. This because that's across the lake, perpendicular versus parallel to the lake. You're going to see widespread. You can see widespread 8 to 12 inches. Area may see 16, 18 bullseye. It's really, concerning.
Sure.
Across the lake, such as this situation. That across the area, Lake Michigan, be in that area before when they.
Yeah. Brett, I think we're having trouble with your microphone again. I'm hearing about every other word that you're saying, and I'm not actually sure what's going on, but we'll check into that for just a second. Let me see again. Going back to the west here, talking about the Denver area, winter storm warning off to the north. This is going to get up into Fort Collins, into the area there where 4 to 8 inches of snow is going to fall right there along 25, and then over to the west into the Estes Park region, Denver proper. You're just out of the warned area, but you get up into Evergreen, the Genesee region there. That is under a winter storm warning. So this is going to be the western suburbs of Denver, where 5 to 10 inches could fall. That's going to be right there at the, in the Evergreen area. Just Red Rocks. You're talking about a beautiful site there at Red Rocks. That'll be pretty when this actually materializes. And all the way up into Casper and Cheyenne, Rapid City's underneath the winter storm warning. It's winter weather advisories around that into the purple. But off and on, we're going to have all those advisories there that are showing up across that area going through the next little while here as well. And not to forget this, but Brett, last night I was talking about the 3K. You're going to run into some cold air here up just south. Let's see what happens here. This was going to be just south of Lubbock at the end of the period. The actual, I think the 12K will show this pretty well as we get toward the end of the period here, where we'll be looking at the rain kind of mixing in. See it there around Amarillo. This is coming in out of Colorado to begin with. Let's go to the 12Z this morning and take a little nicer look at what's happening. I'll stop it here toward the end, but here's some of the snow that's trying to fall there around Lubbock, maybe even into Fort Worth as a mix. This is early on Saturday morning, and then I think it dries out. It was trying to dry out before it got too far over into Dallas, but on the edges here, more or less, maybe a little mix going on into Abilene. over to Lubbock, into the Midland area there of San Angelo and beyond. And kind of a rainy couple of days down here along the Gulf Coast. This is not the good stuff. This is where the water temperatures are cooling off fast, and the air temperatures into the mid-50s, but rain is really starting to pick up here overall as well. Let's talk about what's happening here with what I put together, Brett. This is I'll look at the satellite imagery, and this is a pretty amazing thing here. If you watch what's happening over the Great Lakes, and I do a zoom here in just a couple of seconds, the flow is still zipping along here from the south, but there's your lake effect that's ongoing, coming across Erie there and Ontario and moving on to the east. The little riblets that you see there as well, the cold air queue that's showing up.
You can see that across the lake, those hands. Nice view of that coming off of the west today.
Yeah.
Sorry, folks.
I think you got a problem with your microphone there at the moment, or something that I hear about every other word. I apologize. Just a bunch of clicking now, actually.
Can you hear me better now, Dave?
Think so now?
Can you hear me better?
Yeah.
Better? I'm
Yep.
sorry.
Yep. Got you
Okay,
now.
that works.
Let's
All
see
right,
if we
good
can.
deal.
Let's see if we can go on over here to the show a little bit. Can you still talk and I can hear you?
Boundary there along the Gulf Coast states. That's kind of what's going to meet up with some colder air down around Texas this weekend. But also, you see your lake effect event really getting its act together as we go into later tonight, especially into tomorrow, as this lake effect snowstorm really begins to crank up. And you've got another boundary that's making its way down the Rockies. There's some snow out there as well, as we had mentioned earlier, with some advisories and a couple of warnings in place. But satellite is very vivid there with the frontal passage. You've got one area there in the center of the country that's really clear across the Mid-South region, and then a lot of cloud cover north of there. And again, visible satellite shows those lake effect bands moving across the lake here on Erie and Ontario, and then all the way back over to Michigan very, very well. You can see those thin bands of very heavy snow there very well.
Yeah, I took this early this morning. This goes from daylight till about 9 o'clock this morning, and just to show you kind of what it looked like, it's set up pretty well there, but nothing like what it's going to be in the coming hours here, because you're going to see that what's coming across the lake right now that's coming in from Detroit, and that is not Tallahassee up there, I don't think. But anyway, they forgot to tell us, Tallahassee being the capital there in Florida. I know a lot of weird stuff's going on in Florida, but I doubt they moved up into Canada. But anyway, from Cleveland to Ashtabula, back over to Erie and Dunkirk, you can see that was coming in. Now the shift is coming in a little bit more out of the west. It was out of the northwest, out of the west, and eventually come out of the southwest and be in a trajectory that works its way just due parallel to the shape of the lake here, the big low and the adjacent cold front that'll be passing on by. But again, it's all about these water temperatures, 48 to 50 degrees. So fairly warm lakes, but the wind that'll be coming in on the backside of this is all going to be creating this event overall. It's not a situation where you're looking for. I was talking to a woman last night in Toronto, and she was wondering if she's going to get this. And absolutely not. There was a big donut hole for her in Toronto because you need a low to go to your south in order to bring that fetch in your direction. It's all about fetch at this point. There's the low at present. We got, 1,012 millibars out of that. The trough has moved through. The first one has moved through. And here's some of the conditions that the National Weather Service offices have been talking about, at least into the short term here. To sort of, let us know what was basically going on. We're still looking at that possibility of 8+ inches from Kalamazoo back over to Grand Rapids, 6 possible across the rest of the area. If you can read this, the heavy snow for today and tonight runs from, The Charlevoix area at 10 inches of snowfall there. Traverse City at about 5 or 6. Cadillac, Michigan, about 4 inches of snow. Into the Alpena area, expecting less than an inch or two. But some of the forecasted tales into the overnight hours tonight into Gaylord, where we'll be looking for locally 12-plus inches of snowfall to take place in Gaylord later on tonight and through the early part of the day tomorrow, which is sort of what we'll be looking at there into the short term as we move along and down the road, because much of this is going to be coming in different waves. We're going to see more and more in the way of that precipitation showing up in different different time periods, if you will, and we'll just certainly be watching out for that situation. Brett, can you still hear me? Get you back in here. Say that again.
Yeah, I can hear you, David. Can you hear me?
Yep, we're good.
Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. Folks, I'm really dealing with it over here. I don't really know what's going on. I'm trying to get myself in order.
Well, I'm trying to talk for you. I'm not trying to overdo you here, although I can talk more than you can. But
Stop.
I got in trouble for it all of my life. So I want you to see something here, too, if I can pull this up, because this is a super cool thing here. We watched this camera, and I don't know if you remember, Brett, but at my previous work, this was one of my favorite cameras because I actually talked to this family several times up here, and they're a super nice family that does this. 1920 by 1080?
That's it. Yep.
1080. And let's see if I can do this like this. Please come up, please come up, please come up, please come up, because I want Brett to see this. This is their live camera up there in Gaylord, Michigan, which was a place that we were talking about just a few moments ago. We were, sort of looking at how much snow was going to fall there. And actually, we just look at the radar here for a moment, and I can show you what's going on up there in Gaylord, Michigan, which is up in the area where they're expecting a ton of snow to be falling. And so this is what the Gaylord, Michigan camera looks like at the moment. Ladies and gentlemen, hide your cats, hide your dogs, hide everybody, because the turkeys have taken over. Big time turkey day up there, B. It'd be great if I could hear you. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
Do this.
Yeah, sorry about that, Dave. I think we had a source and it changed it up a little bit.
I think this is good because it's you right there in the middle of the turkey melee.
Oh man, yeah, they look like they're having a good time there.
They do. Well, there was a fox there a little bit earlier, and they oftentimes have quite a few deer there in the area too. But it's a cool camera situation there that we often follow, and I always enjoy looking at it up there. It's sitting it's sitting there at 25 degrees. You know what's going on, Brett?
What's that?
I'll have to tell you about it when we're off the air.
Yeah, I kind of see it. I see them all perched up there. I'm just waiting to see.
The one with the beard is a boy.
Yeah.
A Jake. Or he's actually a Tom. I don't see him at the moment. And the others are hens. And so it all goes like this, Brett.
No. He's running around
I'll say
rapidly.
It's like a zoo up there, though, at the Michigan Snow Cam. Thank you, Earth Cam, for giving us the ability to do this. And just kind of funny here at the moment. You don't feel good, do you, B?
No, I'm a little concerned. I'm hopeful that I can get something in my system and try to do some stuff. Try to do some television this evening around 7 p.m. local time, which is in about 4 hours from now. So I'm gonna try to get some meds in my system. I really just don't feel all that great at the moment, and I have no idea why.
You haven't slept, but like 2 or 3 hours over the last 2 or 3 days. That's one of the reasons, dude.
That's the story of my life. And then when this gets going, I won't sleep then, I'm sure. But gonna really try hard
to get some stuff and get a really good night's sleep tonight, and see where it goes. Because no matter what, whether this pops Buffalo or areas to the north, to the south, over here, we're going to be busy. We're going to be in that band somewhere, and it'd be great if we didn't have the heavy amounts that are forecast, because these type of snow events, for even on the lake up here, they're dangerous because you get roof collapses and things that you wouldn't normally get. Because I'll tell you, it's 39 degrees outside, or it was here. And we had snow pellets, so typically we're looking at 32 degrees when it comes to snow, and that's not really the case here. If it comes down hard enough, it's gonna be all snow, which you can see
Sure.
with those lake temperatures. Really, right here on the lake, it takes a little bit for it to cool completely down. But once you get snow, it can come fast and furious, and it doesn't take long. You can already see it trying to shift up toward the north there. That
Right.
backside of that band's starting to lift up some,
Yeah.
and later tonight, I think that that's going to get going, whether it's in downtown Buffalo or around the area somewhere pretty close.
Kind of show you the wind direction here at our ASOS and our METAR sites here, and it's becoming a little bit more southwesterly in a few areas around Mentor and then up to
Yeah,
Jefferson, Ashtabula. There, it's out of the southwest actually.
yeah.
So I think really here's our wind shift, isn't it? I mean, if you look at it here, it's a
That's
westerly wind until you
that's
get
most definitely the wind shift. You kind of
yeah,
see it start arcing,
yeah,
kind of got a bow toward the north in the center of that band,
yeah.
and then once it once it gets up here and that fetch moves all the way across the lake, you're going to see that whole band on the backside almost pivot like a supercell. When we look for a hook echo to form, it's going to almost do that, but then it's going to straighten out right up the lake with the wind shift and the flow of the wind.
Hey, you can see all these wind bars back into Michigan are out of the southwest at the moment, so that's only waiting to
Yep.
move a little bit. Right here, we've got that little trough that we were looking at, talking about a little bit earlier. But when this comes in and that wind starts coming up the lake like that, that's when you'll really see all the precipitation pile up on the eastern side of Lake Erie, and that'll be moving up into the Buffalo area. Again, we're looking at uh, a couple of miles here. The modeling was a little bit suspect to me about Buffalo, the city, where it just it could shift just a little bit down to the south, which would include Hamburg into that Eden. Silver Creek area. All this area, though, certainly going to be watched as we go through the remainder of the night tonight, as well as
Right.
what's happening well back to the west over here, Brett, into the Lake Michigan area. We're not forgetting about anybody, by the way. And still, we'll be awaiting some of the heavy snowfall coming into areas around Denver. It's not here yet. A little bit of light snow coming into Fort Collins. Maybe a little bit of light snow down here near Centennial at the moment. And it's a fairly cold day there. Even got a few snow showers up and around the DIA there, the Denver International Airport, that we'll kind of be watching there too. So, tell you what, why don't we wrap it up? Let you get some rest, and we'll do some more as time goes by here. Maybe do another. I'll at least do another tonight at some point tonight during the evening when we get some of the latest forecast stuff. Around 8 o'clock, we normally get all of the modeling back in, but we're now at the point, Brett, where we might can throw that out because I don't think the model is going to be able to pinpoint a mile or two, and certainly this is a forecast that could be greatly dependent. There's going to be like a 5 mile wide area where you're going to go from an inch or two to 38.
Exactly.
It's going to be nutty there.
Exactly. So
Yeah,
exactly. So
and
that's
the
the
model
reason that
can't pick
we
that up
we're
right now.
we're in equipped vehicles for that. So that's exactly
Yeah.
what we're expecting. We're expecting to have to move with a little bit of the little shifts. So anyway, we'll be out. I'm just looking. Mike, David, your mic's very, very low. Everybody's saying.
My mic is low.
That's what they're saying. Yeah. Um, let's see, guys. Again, I apologize. I see some think I'm falling asleep. I'm not really falling asleep. I am trying my best not
Check.
to not to conk out here because I'm not feeling very well. As David mentioned, though, the plan is we're here. We'll be out. going to get a little bit of rest for the evening. I may have David do something. David may have to do it by himself later because I don't know how I'm going to be. I'm going to try to conk out so I can be prepared when the big stuff happens.
Yeah. We'll do all right without you. I'll bring Penny on with me. She can help me out with some of this. Now I got an echo in my ear at least. I hate technology. Oh my gosh. It's starting to drive me crazy. And it's got something to do with my age, I think. Anyway, Brett, I'm going to watch these turkeys in Gaylord, Michigan, and keep watching this radar. We'll do that for the remainder of this evening and start really. Things don't really start to change a whole lot until later on tonight. I think that fetch is going to be moving around so much that no one particular spot gets dumped on here at the moment. But later on tonight is when we're really seeing the effects as the wind shifts and comes more out of the southwest here across that portion of Lake Erie. And it gets pretty nasty there at that point, all coming in. Probably between 8 and 9 o'clock tonight, I think, is when the modeling really started to show that effect taking place. And from Erie northward, that's when it'll really start, to settle in. I've also got some cameras up there we'll take a look at. I found a few DOT cams there into Buffalo, so we'll check those out as we go through the rest of this evening. And I know you have video as well there. And so we'll get that from everybody. And, get you some... lemon, what is it? Honey, lemon, and vodka?
I can get
Or did you already
Jack Daniels
get the
honey,
vodka and forgot the honey and lemon?
No. I need no alcoholic beverages. I need whatever will knock it out. But it's probably going to knock me out in the process.
Dude, you know what this makes me think of?
Well, given your earlier comments, I'm not sure I want to know, but what?
High school.
I'm out. I am out. Anyway.
I'll explain that to you later. All right, get you some rest, B. We'll talk a little bit later. Oh, my gosh. Oh, watch this guy right there. Tom. Tom is upset.
Tom is. He's upset.
He's very upset. The little hens are. See, I know these are all high school girls. That.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go take a shower and try to get myself in check for whatever is to come because I look like garbage right now. And,
you look like you've been rode hard and put up really well.
Yeah, I'm not in a good spot. So.
Yep.
I'm gonna get that taken care of, get some medicine, and I'll be back later tonight, whether my body wants me to or not. I really don't.
You do it, and I'll be back. Even if Brett can't be with us, I'll be back about 8 o'clock because I'd like to have some new modeling that comes in. So now that the time has changed, we can do that at about 8 o'clock tonight. We'll look at her and everything else, and we'll start to show you some of the cameras into the area, too. I think I'll make a show out of cameras tonight because I put together a bunch of DOT cams that look pretty cool there. Just south and north of Buffalo from the Buffalo DOT. I don't think there's a Buffalo DOT. I made that up. I think it's going to be the New York DOT.
Yep, most likely.
Yep. We don't want people to see you pass out on the air. We're going to be gone in 5,